Hi students, let's study the concept behind water cycle. Now, what is water cycle? Water cycle is a very important process of nature which keeps water moving within our environment and across the planet. Water cycle is also known as the hydrological cycle. It basically deals with the various process involved in water cycle which makes the water move from one place to another by changing its state. Like we have water present in the water bodies which is in liquid form. So due to the sun's energy it gets converted into water vapor. Now this is a gaseous form of water. Now this water vapor further rises up and it gets condensed into clouds, and then we get rains, and when this rains falls in the mountain top, due to the low temperature it gets converted into ice, so water again turns into its solid state. So in this way the water keeps circulating in our environment, and this creates the water cycle. It is an ongoing process which keeps on working and keeps converting water into solid, into liquid, and into gaseous form, and hence the water is circulated. Now, before we move ahead, let's look into the different phases of water. Now, water exists in three phases on our planet. It's basically the solid state or the liquid state and the gaseous state. Water in the solid state can be seen on the mountains, on the poles, North Pole and South Pole. Okay, and wherever the temperatures are very low, you see snow and water solidifies. So it is basically in the solid state. In the liquid state, we can find water in any kind of water bodies, that is in river, ponds, oceans, and the gaseous state of water is basically water vapor, which is all around in our environment. It is an unseen gas. Okay, so we are not able to see it, but it is all around the environment. So we know water changes its states from solid to liquid and liquid to gas. So this is a very important characteristics of water, due to which water can be recycled. So recycling of water is very important. It keeps the water pure and it keeps the water in circulation so that it is available in every parts of the region or across the globe. So now let's understand water through its various phases by looking at the water cycle. So please look at this diagram. This gives a very clear understanding of how water changes its state and which processes are acting behind this water cycle. So what water cycle basically contains the following processes. So we can say there are five important stages in water cycle. So the first one is the evaporation, then comes the condensation, then precipitation, then runoff, and then infiltration. So all this process they play a very important role in water cycle, and evaporation, condensation, precipitation, runoff, infiltration, they all combine together form the water cycle. So this is basically talking about how water changes its states through this process, and it is in continuous circulation throughout the globe. Now let's talk about the evaporation. So evaporation starts with the sun. We can say evaporation is the beginning of the water cycle. So due to sun heat energy, this water bodies gets warmer, and due to this heat, water is converted into water vapor. Now this water vapor, since it is warmer, it tries to rise up in the atmosphere. And when this water vapor rises up in the atmosphere, when it goes to the higher altitude, there the temperature is less. So now this hot air which rises up in the atmosphere, it starts cooling when it reaches the higher altitude. So due to this cooling, this water vapor gets converted into millions of small droplets of water. And when these small droplets of water they come together, they form clouds. So due to evaporation, what is happening? Water is getting evaporated, it is rising up at higher altitude of the atmosphere, and clouds are formed. So basically clouds are formed on the troposphere, which is a layer of atmosphere at the higher altitude. Now when this hot air which rises up starts cooling, this process is called condensation. So when this water vapor gets cooler, it turns into liquid again. It turns into small droplets of water, and together they form a cloud. So gradually we see millions of clouds being formed, and when these clouds they accumulate together, they form big clouds which carries huge amount of water but in the form of small droplets. So condensation basically gives rise to clouds. Now what happened when these clouds combine with each other and they start getting bigger and bigger, finally the weight of water which is accumulated in the clouds become too heavy, and due to the gravity of the earth they starts falling down on the earth's surface. This is called precipitation or the rains. When water drops from the clouds on the earth's surface, it gives rise to the rains. So depending upon the terrain, depending upon the temperature, it may come down in the form of liquid water, or it may also come down in the form of snow. So we see snowfall on various cold areas, isn't it? Where the temperature is very low, this water vapor when it comes, this water droplets when it comes down on the earth's surface, due to this low temperature they gets converted into ice or snow. So this is called precipitation. Now after precipitation what happens? After the rain we see there is water everywhere. Water keeps flowing to the oceans, through the rivers, water keeps flowing into the ponds, all the dams gets filled up, है So this flow of water on the land from lakes, dams, streams and rivers is called the runoff. So excess water which falls on the ground, due to gravity they gets pulled at the areas which are of the lower altitudes. So water starts flowing towards the lower altitude, and finally it reaches the ocean. So rains bring down heavy amount of water on earth's surface, and since all the water cannot be accommodated, it starts flowing towards the ocean. Okay, now the next process is called infiltration. What happens in this process? So in this process the water which runs off on the surface of the earth gets absorbed by the soil. You all might have also observed that after the rains, the ground is fully soaked with water. It becomes muddy, isn't it? So, the soil on the earth also traps lot of water. Now, along with this, as the waters keep flowing, it flows over various cracks, holes, and other openings on the ground surface. So, these holes and openings they also get filled with water. So finally what happens? Lot of water is absorbed by the earth's surface, and this water trickles down to the lower area of the earth. Now all this water which is collected in the cracks and the holes and other openings, they finally seep into the ground, and this water finally gets accumulated, and this is called the groundwater. So this process by which the flowing water seeps into the earth's surface is called infiltration. In this process, water from the top of the earth's surface penetrates the soil and reaches below the ground and gets accumulated to form groundwater. Now groundwater is available to us as a fresh source of drinking water also. So after the rains, this groundwater gets recharged. A lot of water is flowing into this groundwater sources, and then these water sources become large water sources after the rains. So this groundwater is very important for us because it acts like a drinking water source for us throughout the year. So now we have finally completed the water cycle. Now how important is water cycle? Let us understand this. The water cycle is very important because water is required for sustaining life on earth. We cannot survive for much longer if we don't get drinking water, isn't it? So water is very important for us because it is the main source of sustaining, one of the main source of sustaining life on earth. Okay. So the water cycle creates a continuous supply of fresh water. Water cycle provides water for plants and animals. All kind of ecosystem depends and flourish in water bodies. So it is very important for the ecosystem also. Water cycle generates rain, weather patterns and distribution of water. So here also it becomes very important. Because of the water cycle, water is available everywhere and also distributed across the globe. So water is available to everybody and in every corner of the planet Earth. So water cycle is really very important for us. Okay students, we'll close the class here. So if you like this chapter, please share and subscribe. Give your support. Thank you.